Session meeting is called to order at 5:15 PM. Does anyone wish to make a comment? Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We will have a timer on screen for your reference. Please state your name and city of residence for the record.
Nobody online.
Seeing no one present,
Mr. Lytle?
No.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure. All right,
okay. I will now turn the meeting over to Planning and Development Director Brian Chandler.
all right, good evening. And so we've got three plat and zoning case items on the agenda. So two plats, and actually the zoning case is just a site plan to amend an existing plan development. So starting with the plats, number 4, we do have a final plat of Monteverde Phase 3. And so, of course, this is on consent. Did you all have any questions about that one? Okay.
No, sir.
And just a reminder that this is on consent because it's a phase and an overall preliminary plat that was previously approved and there were no changes. Okay. And then item number 6, final plat of South Point Phase 5. And if you all will remember, I guess it was at the last meeting or the meeting before, South Point over by Case Road, there were 2 zoning cases that essentially were combined into a single presentation. There was a single family lot that had a little bit of general retail in it. And then the general retail had a little bit of single family in it, little slivers. And so this is the plat that reflects that rezoning. And just a heads up that I'm going to try also kind of, you may have heard me say going in reverse from the updates that I give at city council workshops. So the last one, the items that were on the council agenda, I'll just go over those slides and then just tell you how council voted on those cases. But this, and spoiler alert, this was one of those. And I already told you what happened. So sorry to take away the drama. Number 7, FY 25-1 SITE on South First Street. And so you all, those of you that have been on the count or P&Z for the last year will probably remember that there was a rezoning approved on this piece of property for a vertical mixed use development. So offices on the bottom, a small retail space, and then residential above. Well, they have, I guess, or have it on the market. So apparently they don't plan on building that. And Lot to Lot downtown Vietnamese restaurant has it under contract, or I don't know if they purchased it. They've purchased it. All right, there you go. So presumably they want to own their own building rather than be renters. So good for them. And presumably that would keep them in the community for a long time. So any questions on that site plan, just general type questions? Okay. All right. So there you go. Thank you. So yeah, these are just, I was going to go through these cases. So I've taken the presentations that were given at council at the last meeting, turned it in just an abbreviated workshop update, just so that there could be an informal discussion, kind of like we have. And so I think Commissioner Jurasik, I believe, mentioned, wanting a little bit more of this when he attended the APA conference. And so if either way, great idea. If you all want to just learn a little bit more about what council discussed, and just a reminder of, okay, what case was that you mentioned? Well, we'll just go through this and just reuse kind of what we already have in place, just in reverse. And so the Dodge and Loop RV park, So you remember this one. This is, and so this and the land lease community, Bluebonnet, mobile home park, and I think other RV park inquiries um, made council kind of pause a bit and think about, okay, what do we need to look at our standards for these type of developments? And so tabling this case and Bluebonnet Mobile Home Park, having a discussion about some standards that we are working on, but they didn't want to hold up these proposals any longer. And so this is just some of the conditions that were added by P and Z and council. And just looking at, 6-foot internal fence. I think this was from your August meeting. So most of you were here and some newcomers were not. 8-foot perimeter fence around the drainage and septic area. Number 11, requiring the developer to construct acceleration, deceleration lanes unless TxDOT would not allow it on that TxDOT roadway, but just to make sure, especially on narrow roads where RVs are turning in and out. If you all have ever been behind an RV trying to take a left on a busy road, you'd be there a while. So that's something that was added for also consideration for future code improvements to make sure that, because just by their very nature, a lot of these RV parks in particular, mobile home parks too, are on more rural roads. So those do not typically include multiple lanes or even a center turn lane. So that was added. And then also requiring the developer to construct an all-weather road at the secondary entrance, just to make sure that it meets our code requirements. Okay. And then the other one I mentioned also moved forward. So that was approved by council. And the Bluebonnet mobile home park also came back on that same agenda for second reading. And so PD conditions per the council workshop from October 10th. And let's see, some of the highlights. Let's see. Number 7, no unit older than 15 years. Making sure that the private streets, minimum of 26 feet wide, paved. So that's number 9. Sidewalks required, along Young and Shell. Those are on our thoroughfare plan. So that's just clarifying. In purple, I think really that's what I need to draw your attention to on number 2. Maximum density of 7 units per acre allowed. That actually matches what RV parks allow. They only need essentially 5 units per acre in terms of what their density is. But just to clarify that it would make a lot of sense to have similar density requirements for RV parks and mobile home parks, even though they're very different. Looking at them side by side, there are some similarities. And minimum distance of 20 feet between the units. So that's not just on the side, but that's also on the rear. There's nothing in the code really addressing that distance. And then a minimum of 8% of the area to be addressed with recreational areas and amenities. So that can include open space, that can include picnic pavilions, etc., playgrounds. All right. And also on that same council agenda, 3200 South General Bruce Drive. And so you remember this had come to you all just at the last meeting, last P&Z meeting, for the 4 and 5 story apartments over by Bird Creek Crossing. And so this was approved, no additional conditions by council. But just a reminder, this included Juliet balconies. That was something that was added. And then the West Adams, the vacant office, I think that's built for a medical office or medical facility of some sort that has never been occupied. 5902 West Adams. You remember that one? And so at your meeting, the applicant or the buyer offered to remove restaurant from neighborhood service because that's really where all the neighbor concerns had come from. And so council upheld that, and there were no additional conditions proposed or approved as a result. So they followed P&Z recommendation to a T. And then the last one was for the East Temple townhomes. And you'll recall that this was purely about lot width for these townhomes. 25 feet minimum is required for a mixed use zoning district. They came in with 18-foot units. And they look like this. So, it's helpful to see them under construction. They originally planned to do all the units on a single lot, more traditional multifamily. Decided that they wanted to separate them into individual lots, be able to sell them, whatever, provide a little more flexibility. And that's where it was confirmed that at the plat stage that their lots and their the lot widths did not meet the zoning code. So that's why they are under construction now. Their permit had been approved and council approved it as presented and as P&Z took action as well for your recommendation. So that's all I've got. And if you all like kind of me circling back to let you know what happened at council, happy to do that. So just any guidance you can provide be great. So you can see basically I just took that same presentation and kind of put it in reverse and give you an update. So
Was that 2 RV parks, I guess? Is that right?
no, one was an expansion of the land lease community mobile home park,
Uh-huh.
Blue
And then the
Bonnet,
other one was an RV.
and the other one was an RV park. Yes, sir. And so those had come during the summer, actually, while I was out, and then tabled. Then I was part of the council discussion, and then they wanted to bring them back.
And you're working on UDC codes to make those a little tighter, or?
Yes, a little bit is UDC, but most of it is in the code of ordinances, so outside of the UDC.
Mhm.
But which technically doesn't require your action, but we would still bring it to you all for, at least for comment, but not an official recommendation to city council.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, thank you all.
May I have a volunteer for the invocation, please?
I'll be glad to.
And for the pledge? Commissioner Rhodes will give the invocation and Commissioner Smith will do the pledge. We will now hear from the planning technician, Tiffany Harrison, in regards to affidavits.
Commissioners, for the record, one affidavit to abstain has been received for this meeting. Is this correct? Thank you. Yes, so it's for the 25-1- site is the case that's going to be abstained from.
In regards to any additional business, I have a question, Brian. In our books that y'all so graciously put together for each one of us, there is a section in the back that's called the toolkit. I don't know how many of the commissioners have read the toolkit. But in a future work session, could we maybe implement something that just gives us a quick overview of that section?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah, we can do that this meeting.
okay. No rush. It was just something I wanted to ask about. Okay, good. Is there any additional business to discuss? If not, the work session is closed at 5:30 PM.